What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video review. Today we are not taking a look at another Hiya figure. Today we are actually taking a look at the Super7 Super Kaiju Wave 4 release that just came out, is now showing up at Targets near you. This wave only comes with 2 figures, as opposed to the last wave we took a look at, which was 3, but it is 2 brand new sculpts. Here we have Godzilla 2004 from Godzilla Final Wars and Spacegodzilla from Godzilla vs. Spacegodzilla 1994. Just like the last wave, this is going to be a bit of a first impressions and unboxing. Let's go ahead and start with Godzilla Final Wars here. Now, with the last wave of Super Kaiju figures, Super 7 was experimenting with giving us some vehicles, specifically a maser cannon with Godzilla 2002. In this wave, they've opted to go back to doing half buildings, so you will need to collect the full wave to get one complete building. We'll be taking a look at this building a little more after we've taken a look at both figures. Just one little protective clip, and the figure comes right down out. It does have some kind of like a factory hair in there. Ooh, a bonus gift. Oh, you know, out of the box, this thing's a little stiff. Might need to heat this up just a little bit. All right, so here is Godzilla 2004. You know, sculpt-wise, this might be the best Godzilla figure yet from the Super Kaiju line. These are smaller, budget-friendly releases, Target-exclusive figures. These aren't going to be anything crazy like their Ultimates series or a Hiya figure, or certainly not an SH Monster Arts. These are fun little desk toys. And for what they are a lot of fun. And yeah, wow, they really stepped up their sculpting game here with this line. I love the head here. The eyes are bright, vibrant orange. You know, I think Godzilla 2004 really fits what they're going for in this line, as Godzilla 2004 is just kind of thin and human-like in general, and they really managed to capture those proportions well in such a small form factor. Yeah, I really like the body on this figure. The legs look great. Again, this line is a little stylized. They're not aiming for hyper-realism or accuracy with this line. Again, these are just fun little desk toys, and yeah, I really like what they did here with Godzilla 2004. Godzilla's head is going to be able to rotate all the way around, and the jaw is on a hinge. Shoulders are going to be on pinned hinges. They can hinge up pretty much all the way out, and then you can rotate them all the way around. Now, the elbows specifically are going to have the newer engineering from Godzilla 2002, which is to say that the pin is going to be above the elbow, so the elbows are going to hinge out or swivel out above the elbow like so. You're not going to get them rotating like the older figures in this line, and then they can hinge actually a pretty decent amount. Look at that. That's pretty nice. And they can straighten out all the way. Hips are going to be on ball joints, so you're going to get full rotation, rotate all the way around. You kind of have to force it a little bit due to the sculpt, but you can get it all the way around like so. Knees are going to be on hinges. They're pretty stiff even after heating this one up. I'd be a little careful about that one. And the ankles are going to be on hinges with a peg at the foot so you can get some rotation. They are going to have pegs underneath the feet, so if you want to clip this onto a stand, you can do so right there. And the tail is going to be pretty standard for this line, so it's going to be attached to the body on a ball joint, and then there is a wire in here. This is a soft rubber material. You know, I wouldn't go too far with this. I don't really know how well this rubber is going to last, but it's pretty standard for this line. If you've handled any of these figures before, you know what to expect from this tail. The design of 2004's spines work pretty well with a tail like this, so I don't really see any issues here. I really like how they captured the dorsal plates here on 2004. The dorsal plates are thin, sharp. The paint has an excellent transition from the dark gray of the body to this frosted tip look. It's a little bit of a paint spillage on the tip of the spine on the neck. Little unfortunate, but it is what it is. One thing to note about the arms is that the wrists seem to be sculpted at this kind of splayed out angle like that. It's a little weird. At first I thought the figure was warping, but no, that's just so the figure can get in a more natural pose with the arms kind of twisted in like this. I'm sure you could fix that with heat if that really bothers you. It doesn't bother me that much. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Spacegodzilla now. Of the two, this was the one that I thought looked a little goofy when they revealed it. It kind of looked a little, shall we say, thick, and the proportions were just kind of wonky. But in hand, in the box, this really doesn't look as bad as some of those early images had it seem. Out of the box, Space Godzilla is going to come with its tail detached, and look at that. That is a massive tail. Tail's as big as the figure itself. That's kind of crazy. This is going to be a larger figure like Destroya was, so it kind of makes sense, again, that there's only 2 figures in the wave. I'm going to heat up this tail a little bit to plug it in there. I do remember Destroya's tail also being detached and was kind of a pain in the ass. Oh, that's because Destroya's tail is just kind of a weird shape anyway. I'm going to heat this thing up real quick. Be right back. Wow, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm pretty impressed by this little guy. Like I was just saying, Space Godzilla was, of the two, the one I was least excited for. But in hand, this is a very impressive, very chunky figure, especially for this line. You can also tell that they were able to spend a pretty decent amount of the budget here on the paint, as this figure looks fantastic. You got a nice spray on the front here of red. The crystals have a nice transition. There's even some dry brushing on the shoulders. The crystals on the back have a nice transition. This looks very nice for what this line typically gives you. Not to say that these figures look terrible, but they are going, again, for something a little more basic, and this feels a little more premium. Head looks fantastic. I love this bright yellow on the crown. Even the little spines on the back of the neck have a little paint on them with a little transition there. Now, in terms of articulation, this is also pretty unique. So the head is going to rotate all the way around, just like most other figures in this line. The jaw is on a hinge. The legs, the hips, that is, are on ball joints, just like the rest of the figures here. And the knees are on hinges. The feet are on hinges with a peg at the foot. And this massive tail is, attached to the body with a ball joint, and then is a wire inside. And with such a long tail, you do get a pretty long wire in there. Fair warning, the base of the tail is very thick. It's very thick rubber, so while there is a wire in there, it doesn't really want to pose towards the base of the tail. Sorry, let me get my camera focused there. But the tip of the tail, you got a wire going all the way down to the tip. Now, the arms are where things get a little interesting. Just due to the nature of Space Godzilla having these massive crystal shoulders. So the shoulders are on swivels. You can swivel all the way around. And then the arm itself is on a swivel where it connects to the shoulder pads. So that's not a ball joint, it's just a swivel. And then at the elbow, you have the older hinge system. So you get a peg below the elbow. So the arms are going to kind of swivel like this. And then they can hinge straight down and up above like so. So while the arms don't have the newer elbow engineering, you do kind of get to fake that with a bicep cut down below the shoulders so they can swivel like that. You can rotate the hands. So in some ways, this is actually some of the better arm articulation out of the line. Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised by this figure. And again, it's heavy. This is a hefty little figure. And let's take a look now at these building pieces once again. So, just like with the older releases, you get 2 halves of a building that you can just kind of squish together. And in this case, you would get a tall skyscraper building. So there is some variety there. I believe I've said my piece before on I don't really like these coming with 1 half of a building. It really kind of feels a little odd to have to get a complete set for 1 building. Would have been nice if these just came with 1 building each. Or hell, I would have even taken 1 building with Godzilla, and Space Godzilla being a larger figure comes with nothing. I would have accepted that too, but half of a building with each figure is just a little, I don't know, it's not great. But I would rather have 1 building than no building, so there's also that. All right, now for size, these figures are going to stand just under 6 inches tall. Looks like about 5.5 inches tall, give or take. Now, I'm not going to do the entire usual gambit of size comparisons. We're just going to keep this nice and simple. Here's how these two look next to a standard SH Monster Arts figure, a standard Hiya Toys figure, and a Super 7 Ultimates Destroya. God, I keep forgetting how massive this figure is. And here we are, guys. This is the entire Super 7 Super Kaiju figure line so far, waves 1 to 4. Overall, I'm very happy with this toy line. These are really fun little desk toys. If I had any nitpick here, it would be that I wish there's a little more variety in the monster selection. There's a lot of Godzillas here. In fact, there's only 3 non-Godzilla figures in this entire figure line, and 2 of those 3 are still technically Godzilla. So I hope that Super 7 is going to shake things up a little. I know they have several more of these planned, at least to reveal this year. There's probably another wave coming in the back half of the year. But I do thoroughly enjoy this figure line, and I want it to continue. I do typically think that these figures are a little higher priced than they should be. These figures retail for like $35. Personally, I feel that they're closer to $25 for what they offer. Maybe if they all came with a unique accessory, then maybe I could see $35. But what you see on the table here is what you get if you collect the entire figure line. 3 buildings, 2 vehicles, and 1 half building. Actually, I still don't know what this purple building is supposed to be. There's a second half somewhere. This came with the Dark Horse Godzilla, and we still have no idea where that second half of the building is. So for now, this is an incomplete accessory. What I would recommend, if you also don't want to spend $36 plus tax if you live in a state with sales tax, if you don't want to spend that much, which I certainly don't, I would highly recommend just looking for used copies on eBay or Mercari. That's where I found half of these. I got half of these for like 10 bucks. Since these are Target exclusive, at some point they're going to have overstock, and when they do, that overstock goes on deep discounts. So definitely keep an eye out if you want these at a lower price point. Some of the newer ones like Destroyer or Spacegodzilla, those you may not find for a lower price point, but like the Wave 1 and 2 figures, I definitely found all of those for very, very cheap. And Wave 3 happened to hit when Target was doing a mass discount on toys. Even though they were brand new, I got them all for I think like 28 bucks, something like that. Much more reasonable price point. Don't just write off the entire figure line. If you do like what you're seeing here, but just don't like the price, you can find these for cheaper. Just go looking, you'll find them. I would love to see Super 7 start doing multi-packs, maybe with more building accessories. That I could get behind a higher price point. Either way, again, these are very fun. And I haven't done a video on the first 2 waves. So if you guys want to see me go back and do videos on like Burning Godzilla or Mechagodzilla, let me know. I'd be happy to do that. Godzilla 2004 might be the best Godzilla of the lot. I really like the Burning Godzilla as well. If you can track down Burning Godzilla for like 15 bucks, 20 bucks, highly recommend Burning Godzilla. And Space Godzilla, I'm also very surprised by. Was not expecting to like it as much as I do. It's a very fun figure. Very chunky, very heavy. Again, this has been a very quick unboxing, first impressions of the Super 7 Super Kaiju Wave 4 figures. And I do have another very exciting surprise video, non-Haya video, that hopefully I'll get out this weekend or early next week. We'll see. But yeah, a lot of exciting stuff coming, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Till next time, guys.